Let's take a look at chapter 12. So chapter 12, we're going to talk about linear regression and correlation. Now, for those of you who maybe took pre-calculus or college algebra, some of this might be familiar. Now, we're going to be doing a little bit of a different flavor with this since this is a statistics class, but some of the foundational concepts will be fairly similar. But I still encourage you to continue to watch these videos because, as I said, we're going to be doing a slight different flavor with some of this. Okay, so first thing we're going to talk about are scatter plots. So scatter plots, we can graph points of data to visualize the relationship between the two variables. So this is the purpose of creating a scatter plot. One of the important things as a statistician or as a blooming statistician, you want to be able to use graphs to help you understand your data. To be able to visualize your data is going to help you be able to understand what types of tests can you do with it, what types of relationships are present, these types of things. So for an example here, if we want to look at the number of times you eat out in a month and your monthly food budget, these would be two variables, and we'd like to understand visualizing the relationship between these two. So if we want to plot these points, what would happen is that you would be given data. So maybe in 1 month you ate out, you ate out 5 times, for instance, and then you had a monthly food budget that month of maybe $200, you would plot that point there. Then you would move on and you would say, okay, well, maybe there's another time in which I ate out 8 times and my food budget instead was $250 that month. Maybe there was a time that you ate out no times and your food budget instead was $100 that month. And then you would plot all of these different points of data throughout time to be able to see what is the relationship between the number of times you eat out in a month and your monthly food budget. Or I guess maybe food budget is not the right word, but the amount of money that you spend each month on food. So that is a scatter plot. We're creating this. We have labels on the X and the Y axis. Without labels, these numbers mean absolutely nothing to us. So we need to make sure we have labels, and we just plot the points that are given to us. Now, as I said, the goal of this is to be able to visualize things that are happening with your data. So you can see the direction of a linear relationship. Either we're going to say the relationship is going to be positive or it's a negative relationship. So in general, what you're thinking about with this is you're thinking a positive slope is going to be a positive relationship. So what we're saying with positive is as one increases, the other one also increases. So here in this example, the more you eat out in a month, chances are the more you're going to spend in food in a month. So there's going to be a positive relation taking place here. Now, negative would be obviously you have a negative slope. So what's happening with the negative is as one increases, the other one is decreasing. So you could think maybe about the outside temperature and the number of times you go outside. Something like that. As the temperature is the number of times you stay inside. Yes. So as the temperature increases, you're going to spend less time inside. As the temperature decreases, you're going to be spending more time inside. So there's this negative relationship between the two of those. And then the other thing we can also see is the strength of a linear relationship. Now, notice in both of these, we're talking about a linear relationship. We can do this for quadratics. You could do this for logarithmic things. You can do this for all different types of functions, but we're primarily looking at linear relationships. That's usually the most simple type of relationship that just simply says as one increases, the other one increases, or as one increases, the other one decreases. So we can see the strength of that. And so in other words, we're asking, how close does data mimic a non-horizontal line? Now, you might be thinking in general, strength would be, does it fall on a line? That's the intuition that we want, is that if, for instance, I continue to see this really strong relationship that it's very clear that as the number of times I eat out per month, my food definitely does increase, there's going to be a strong relationship there. But on the other hand, maybe it's a little bit more fuzzy and you don't get as much of this forming a line. That's going to be more of a weak relationship. So we'll see some examples down here to help us understand seeing different scatter plots. So in this example, this one, we see that there's this positive relationship. If you think about drawing a line here, there would be a positive slope. So as one increases, the other one increases. So this would be an example of you have a positive relationship. And is it strong or is it weak? Well, this would be a fairly strong one because it's pretty close to a line. So this would be strong. Now, when it comes to the strength, this is going to be, sometimes it'll be very clear. Other times, as you just understand more and more of statistics, you'll see what is really strong versus weak. There's types of times in which it might look pretty weak, but still there's a pretty strong relationship taking place. So this one here, this one would now be as one increases, the other one's decreasing. So this would be an example now of a negative relationship. And this would also be fairly strong. This one, on the other hand, the data is a little bit more spread out. It's a little bit less clear, maybe, by seeing this. Now, this one, there's still a positive relationship. It still looks a little bit as one increases, the other one's also increasing. So this would be an example of it, again, being positive. But this is more of what it might look like if there's a weak relationship taking place. You might even get an occasional guy down there that just appears, and it's like, wait a minute, does that mess things up? Not so much. And this one here, now, this is one where, as if you think about the strength of a linear relationship, you're thinking, well, does it form a line? This forms, let's say this forms a perfect line. Is there a relationship between these two variables? Because remember, we're looking to see these two variables. We're wondering, is there a relationship between those? So as an example, you could, for instance, look at the age of a person and the number of arms they have. Now you think, okay, as one increases, so as age increases, do the number of arms you have, does that change? Well, not usually. Obviously, yes, it can, but in general, this is more of what that relationship is going to look like. That if you plot for people, your age increases, the number of arms is most likely going to stay fairly constant. There's no relationship between those two. There's not one seems to be impacting or one seems to be affected by things taking place that we're just saying, nope, as one increases, the other one is just staying the same. So this would be an example now of there being no relationship. So you can have either a positive strong, positive weak, negative strong. A negative weak would also be something similar to that. And then you have no relationship. And remember, we're talking about this in terms of a linear relationship. So we could also look at other examples. So if we look at something like this. This would be another example where there's no relationship. It's just purely chaotic. I can't tell as one increased, the other one increases, as one increases, the other one decreases, anything like this. So this would be another example where there is no relationship. And then one more example to also just see what we're talking about. This would be an example where there is no linear relationship. Now, as being mathematics champions, you understand, well, there is a relationship taking place here, right? This follows a very clear pattern of a parabola, but we're, again, talking about linear relationships. So we will come up with a much more rigorous way of describing things being strong versus weak, positive versus negative, but at least looking at a scatter plot gives us some intuition, and it's a very easy way to just plot the data. And many of you wanting to become health scientists or engineers or anything like that, this becomes extremely important because so many times you're going to be visualizing scatter plots.